We will now have a look at floor plan management. Now, any location area must be accessed at venue level. We're currently at customer level, so we need to click the hierarchical drop-down and select the venue we wish to access. I've impersonated the conference centre and the landing page will load. I need to click onto the flyout menu, select location and then select floor plan management. The page will load. At the top, it'll give you a name of the floor plan and the venue you're accessing. You have the ability to save the changes you've made. You can access settings. So from here, you can turn on accuracy settings, so that's rail snapping and exclusion zones. And you can also show and hide anything you've added to the floor plan. And these will make a little bit more sense, obviously, once we go through the available options. We're currently in edit mode. This is where we can add to the floor plan, make any alterations. But we also have view mode, will take you into live mode, and essentially you'll start to see users moving around your venue if it's live, and obviously they have data within. You then have page tours, so if you need help with anything in this area, you do have that available. Looking at the floor, you can see I can scroll this by clicking onto the plan, holding my mouse button down and then dragging it around to see the whole area. We can zoom out or zoom in. You've got two options. You've got your left-hand side. From here, we can select a specific zone. It will open up the right-hand side, and as you can see, it's highlighted the zone. You have the ability to update the name if required and make it an exclusive zone. An exclusive zone means if a user appears to show in that area, it will push them out of the zone to its strongest AP signal. So again, that's helping improve accuracy. Back onto the left, you've got the pan, and this just allows you to drag and move the floor plan, so you can see different locations as required. You then have a quick way to create zones, so either polygon, rectangular or circle. Add a location, add a rail, add a node or add a piece of hardware, and you'll notice the icons are the same on the right-hand side, so we can still access the zones, but we can also add from here as well. So the left-hand side is a nice quick way to the right-hand side, gives you the details of what's already created and the ability to edit, to delete, but also to add as well. This option has more functionality available within the flyout menu. So each of these will give you the available options to add or to edit as required. Let's look at the first one, which is a zone. Now we have a number of zones already created, you can see here, each with a different colour. But if you wanted to add an additional, hovering over the Add Zone button will allow you to create it as either a polygon, so any particular shape, a rectangle or a circle. If I choose rectangle, for example, to add the zone, you click once where we want to start the zone. Drag your mouse to the size, and then once you click again, the zone is created. The left-hand side is closed, but the right-hand side has opened. It's now giving you the ability to name that zone and make it an exclusion if required. But if I click on Save, you can see there's my zone and it's given it a unique colour now. I can go back into here and update, so it's now an exclusion zone. Or I could change the name as required. To close this flyout, click the menu and it will close. So that's your zone. Next, we have Add Location. And with the location, imagine if you were a shopping mall. You want to put different locations for the different shops, or you may want to add on where the toilets are, or particular facilities, etc. So click the Add to Floor Plan or Attached to a Zone. If you want to put a location within a specific zone, you can do that if you wanted to put it anywhere on the floor plan. I'm just going to put it anywhere on the floor plan, clicking Add to Floor Plan. You can see it displays in the middle, and you've got the XY location details on your specific floor plan, so you can get it precisely where you want it to be. I'm just going to say it should be here, and once I'm happy with the location, click the green tick. If I wasn't, I could cancel by clicking the red cross. I'm going to click the green tick. The right-hand side has now opened. I've got location 1, so I can change the name of this as required. Once you give it a name, you've got to select its category. You can see you have retail, food and drink, banks, exits, first aid, and disabled access. So lots of available options. I'm going to say this is it to access the packing. For description, you can type in to hear any kind of information, and this will be presented to the user. We can then attach a small logo. A small logo will replace the category icon. You've got a large logo. This large logo will be presented to the user once they have access and are on the Wi-Fi. Again, all you need to do is click on Browse and navigate to where you have those logos saved. You don't have to add them, but you can if you wanted to. If you did want to change the location, we do have a Move button at the bottom and also have Cancel and Save. I'm going to click on Save, and as you can see, it's now successfully added my location. It's appeared in the list. I've got the option to expand and edit, or I can delete it off completely using the small X, with an option here to show or hide those particular locations. Next, we have a rail, and a rail can be used to improve accuracy. With exclusions, it pushes users out of the area, but a rail would drag a user in. A good example would be a supermarket. With supermarkets, the aisles are very close together. So if you can imagine these escalators on this floor plan were aisles in a supermarket, they're very close together. With the accuracy of hardware usually being over 3-metre accuracy, you may have a user walking down this aisle, but they may be appearing in the middle of both. You can't quite see whether they're on the left or right. Putting a rail down each side would then ping the user to either or, depending on the accuracy or where they are specifically on the floor plan. You can also use rails if you wanted to give someone directions, perhaps from one location, maybe an exit point or an entrance point. How then to get to parking, or how to get to another specific area. To create, hover over the Add Rail option. Depending on your venue, you can select either a pedestrian, car, bus or train. I am going to select pedestrian. When you hover your mouse over the floor plan, you'll see you've got a little circle, and this is technically a node, which we will cover in a second. I'm going to do the supermarket example, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag it to the end. Once you've got to the next location on your next point, if you click your mouse, you can see I can then go off on a different angle. So if I was giving directions, for example, I could accurately cover the exact path to get anywhere on the floor plan. But because I really want it to be one line, or I'm actually finished, you press Enter, and as you can see, it's then created the rail. The right-hand side has an Opened. From here, we can give it a unique name. We've got a threshold. You have a dark green line in the middle, and this is the main rail, but with a threshold, you've got this outer border. What you can do is you can actually increase the threshold, so it covers the whole area you want the user to be selected from. It then drags them into the middle of this area. So if we increase this, let's say to 120, because we want to try and get the whole area, and it could be a bit of trial and error until you're happy with the exact size. I'm going to go with 130. It's covered the area I want to, and you can see you can turn off the snap. Once the snap is turned off, the threshold disappears, and it's just a line now. This will just be presented to the user as a form of direction. Putting the snap back on, then they would be dragged back into the middle. Now you can turn off Show Threshold, but still have it turned on. But if I click Save, that rail is now done, and I can add another one on the opposite side. So I know now that no matter where the user is, they'll get picked up and put in the correct thresholds area. OK, so that's your rails. Back onto the left, you then have a node, and as I mentioned, when creating a rail, it automatically adds a node. And you'll see just by the icon itself, it's a junction node. It's telling you this is a starting point. You're either going to go forwards, left, right, or backwards. But as you can see, we can add an entrance or exit, a lift, escalator up, escalator down, escalator end, stairs, and other. So lots of availability. It could be within here. Not only is it a snapping rail, but it could be an escalator up. You might want to say this is an escalator up, so we can drag this to where I want it to be and click the green tick. Again, right-hand side opens up. Give it a name, select the group, if you had any groups created, or you can create a brand new group. You can change the node type. We can move it if we've put it in the wrong location, or just click Save. In this area, you'll notice lots of nodes already created. This is because we've got a node for each beginning and end points on our rail. Again, we can show or hide these as required, delete them, or edit an existing. Then finally, we have Add Hardware. Now the hardware, once you click onto there again, same principle applies. And a hardware could be a Wi-Fi enabled printer, TV, anything essentially with a Wi-Fi connection. This allows you to add the hardware to the floor plan so you can see exactly where it is, and also so you don't get this mixed up, thinking it's a user when it's just a Wi-Fi enabled printer. You need to position it. Click on the green tick to confirm. The right-hand side would open, so first giving it a name, entering the MAC, and then selecting the type. You can see you've got Internet of Things device, other, printer, set-top box, smart TV or workstation. Once you've selected, click Save. Now it will allow me to save because I need to add a MAC address, so I'm going to click Cancel. So you need to make sure the MAC address is added to be able to add that particular one. But again, the ability to add an additional one as required if you have more than one. Now with all these added onto the floor plan, at the top we have Settings. These make more sense now. So show your real snapping, you can turn this off or on. The exclusions, so your zones that you've marked as exclusion areas. Hide any zones you've created, any locations, rails or nodes. So anything you've created, or essentially anything you put onto the floor plan, you can hide it as required. But what I want to do now, I want to access the live view. So I'm going to click the View Mode button. The number of icons has changed. On the left-hand side, we've now got the Select and Pan options. On the right, we have Overview Reports, Data Overlay, and Visitor and Devices, and we'll have a look at them in more detail shortly. But at the top, you can jump back into Edit mode. So don't worry, it's not your final chance to create or make any changes. You can go back in and change anything as required. You still have the Settings button to make any changes there as well, but we've now got a number of options about the floor plan. The first is the calendar icon. You can choose to go to a previous date. As long as you had a location license and the relevant hardware installed and active, you'll be able to go back and access any of that information. If you're accessing previous information, you can increase the speed. If you wanted to move it a lot more quickly around your floor plan, you can increase it up to 100 times the normal speed. So as it is in the venue right now. You can see you have a number of dots appearing on the floor plan. If I click Stop, it'll go back to normal. This timeline was hidden first of all, but you can toggle it on or off. And with the timeline, it will give you a 24-hour period. But because it's accessing today's date, it'll only show you up to the relevant time. You've got this slightly greyed out area with these two move icons at the beginning and at the end. This is so you can select a particular time period. If you wanted to view the users between 2 a.m. in the morning until, let's say, 6 a.m., then you can put your start time here, click and watch them manoeuvre around just within that time period. It will also give you data on users within this period as well, and we'll look at these when we expand the menus on the right. Scrolling down, you can see we've got a number of dots. Any which would have usually appeared in these zones have been pushed out, because it's an exclusion zone. So you can see they're all on the border of that zone. Rail snapping has kicked in, so it's dragged the users onto that rail as you'd expect it to. You can see you've got users accessing exits of accessing different zones. Now this is football. It's showing you the movements with dots on the map, but we can change this to heat map. It now shows you a concentration of colour which changes depending on the number of users in that area. The report's on the right-hand side. The first one is your overview report. Clicking onto here will show you how many devices in the venue right now or the selected time. If I just drag this up a little bit, you'll see these have now changed. So it's precisely where it is. So at 5:17 this morning, there was 175 devices, 10 male and 10 female. We can see a breakdown of the devices they've used, the luggage method, and their age range. Scrolling down, you've then got the different zones. You can see here is the conference area 1. It's showing you on the map where it is. It's telling you there's currently 4 users in that zone right now, but in the period of time, there's been 129. The period of time is these drag handles that I set before. If you increase or decrease those, this will also change. You can see anything that's red is an exclusion zone, so you never have a person in it. Scrolling back up, we then have the next one, which is Data Overlay. At the moment, you can see we have grey dots, pink dots and blue dots. Greys are unknowns, pink is female and blue is male. But on top of that, we can add age range. This adds an additional colour on top of that circle if we have their age range. We also have their login method. Those that have logged in, we can see exactly what method they used. Even if they haven't logged in, we still get that dwell time as we've picked up their MAC address and we can see how long that MAC address stayed in a specific zone for. So everyone will have a particular colour to show how long they've been in the zones. Then finally, we have Visitors and Devices, which is now CRM. From here, you can see all users there. It gives you their name, their age, and if you click onto them, it will show you exactly where they are within the venue. Some additional information, so the device they used, their location, first and last visit, and their email. So you can see all the ones that have logged in, but also the ones that haven't logged in, so the unknown. This gives you the number of visits, the make and model, and its dwell time.